Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I am Tina Jha, you're watching Perspective. The Lok Sabha on Tuesday passed a 1.185 lakh crore rupees budget for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir for the year 23-24. This is the second consecutive year when the outlay for Jammu and Kashmir has exceeded 1 lakh crore rupees. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman termed it an indicator of the government's commitment to make Jammu and Kashmir a model of development. Of the budget, the revenue expenditure will be 77,009 crore rupees and the capital expenditure 41,491 crore rupees. Also, as per the budget document, last year economic growth was 14.64% and tax revenue growth 31%. This year, the economy is expected to grow by 10%. Amid uproar, the bill was passed by a voice vote, including the Jammu and Kashmir supplementary budget for 2022-23 and the Union supplementary budget for 2022-23. Now, the key outlays in the budget, the thrust areas of the government, also the new initiatives for the Union Territory, all this and much more in perspective today. And for this, three guests are joining me on the program today. I'm pleased to welcome in the studio Mr. Hasnain Masoodi, Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha, J&K NC Party. Ms. Aarti Tikku Singh, she's a senior journalist, and joining us virtually is Mr. Girdhari Lal Raina, former BJP MLC, Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program today. Mr. Raina, let me begin the program today with you. If you could help us and our viewers understand what the vision is of the budget that the government has provided for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and what is the kind of development orientation that you seek to provide to the Union Territory and its people?
Thank you, Tina, for having me here. Good evening to you and fellow panelists. I suppose the budget is very clear in the budget speech. Finance Minister has itself indicated the focus areas of the budget. That is, one, increasing the revenue health of the this revenue collection and etc. And then focusing on not only rural sector, focusing on the infrastructure development, focusing on other areas of the including health and educational infrastructure, also on academics and technological advancement and things like that. Also focusing on the grassroots level democracy as well as Panchayati Raj institutions. If we can go to the budget and we can see that compared to the other areas, other years of the budget, we not only have improved upon our revenue collections, but have also increased budget allocation on this capital expenditure. Our roads construction per year was around 15 to 1600 kilometers per year. Now that has been improved to around more than 3000 kilometers. Similarly, we can see the health institutions. And the more important, most of the important thing is that the ongoing works. The budget tells us that they are going to complete around 70,000 undergoing projects this year only compared to 10,000 last year. So overall, the budget is focusing on every sector, every section of the society and every area of the, and also focusing on the rural areas. For example, if we can see that in every block, one panchayat is selected and 10 lakh rupees will be allotted to the panchayat system. Then the good governance is also there. The improvement in the governance, improvement in the...
We'll come to these priorities, Mr. Raina, in just a bit. Let me also get in perspectives from the other guests who are joining us on the program. Ms. Aarti Tikku Singh, what the BJP has termed this budget is development-oriented, also futuristic. And what we are seeing in terms of numbers also, it's a significant increase from what it was last year. But what's important to understand is it also, apart from focusing on infrastructure projects, is it also fulfilling the aspirations of the people of Jammu and Kashmir?
Well, Tina, I am pleasantly surprised that the economic growth rate has been pegged at 10% for this year in Jammu and Kashmir, and it has witnessed already 14% economic growth rate as per the documents shared by the Finance Minister. And this is way above the national average, and that itself is a huge accomplishment. This is something that's very extraordinary. In fact, I, as a journalist who's been tracking both politics as well as economy of J&K, I'm also surprised to find that there is finally data and statistics related to economy of J&K, which was not earlier provided under several successive governments till 2019. That's one. Now, aspirations of Jammu and Kashmir youth, people, I think this budget itself and the data that we are seeing also indicates that J&K is on a very progressive trajectory. We are seeing for the first time the collections, revenue collections are humongous. One wouldn't really expect such revenue collections after coronavirus pandemic, which hit the entire country. But we are seeing revenue collections have increased. We are seeing development across different fields. We are also seeing lot of funding going to different sectors in J&K, and also the fact that the government, this particular government, has opened up Jammu and Kashmir to the rest of the country and also to investment coming in from abroad, also shows that there is a lot of aspirational constituency in Jammu and Kashmir, which would like to see more development rather than the chaos, the conflict, the violence that Jammu and Kashmir witnessed for over 30 years. And now, after the nullification of Article 370 and 35A, people seem to be going back to, let's not even call it normalcy, but to an atmosphere which can be conducive for normalcy. And I think that is a huge accomplishment. I am seeing a lot of programs mentioned in the budget which are targeted towards the youth, which are targeted towards the backward communities, tribals and other communities as well. That I think is an indicator that J&K's aspiration, which was almost strangulated for 30 years because of violence, because of militancy, is now unleashed, and we would see a prosperous, a progressive, a far more developed Jammu and Kashmir in the years ahead.
Right, and the numbers and the outlay that we've seen already indicates that it has given priority to infrastructure projects, to roads and bridges in the Union Territory. In terms of job security also, there are several initiatives that have been taken, about which we'll talk in just a bit. But Mr. Masoodi, your views on the budget, which are the sectors that you see as big winners in this budget, and which are the areas where the expectations do not meet the numbers?
Tina, let me tell you at the outset, before we dilate on different aspects of the budget, there was no need to rush through the budget. And Business Advisory Committee had suggested, say, earmark 4 hours for discussion on the budget, but it was passed within 4 minutes without any formal discussion. Though there was no reason to avoid discussion, because there was not, it's an okay budget, and government would very well defend whatever, objectives they had just set and mapped out. So, having said that, this is a normal budget, routine budget. We don't see anything visionary in it, but all the same, there are focuses on some areas like agriculture. We see significant hike in allocations on agriculture. Then we see 131 on PHE, public health engineering, that is Nal Se Jal program. But there are some areas of concern, because since we have yet to see peace and normalcy in the state, in the Jammu and Kashmir, the 44% of the budget is eaten up by the security. See, we have now, lesser focus on the social sector. We have lesser allocation on social sector. And once the aspirations are addressed, like we have done in Northeast, I hope that once things get normal, that we will not be so much of the budget will not be, allocations will not be eaten up by the security. And the areas of concern are that some sectors that ought to have been addressed, given priority, have not been given that kind of priority as was expected. Social welfare gets 20% less than last year. Youth service and technical education gets 14% less than last year. Irrigation and flood control gets 5% less than last year. Rural development gets 5% less than last year, more than 5% less than last year. Power development surprisingly and shockingly gets 5%, 5.3% less than last year. So these areas. And higher education, we would expect that in some areas there will be higher allocation as against the allocations we had last year. For example, higher education, we have no hike. We don't have, it is not, we don't see any upswing in the allocations, budgetary allocations, higher education. In higher education, we have a huge problem because I come from the ground. We are, close to what are the realities. We have, to illustrate, we have South Campus. We have, it is a university, part of the university. We have only 6 subject areas that are being taught and only 16 faculties. Same way, we have announced colleges, but we don't have the staff. We don't have the infrastructure. So in capital expenditure, I expected that there will be some significant hike in allocations as regards higher education. We have 0. Then in public works, in Jammu and Kashmir, it, we have a very huge problem big problem of road connectivity. There are some areas which are cut off for most part from the main from Srinagar and other parts for most of the year. Say Gurez, Tangdar, on Mughal Road, or on Doda Kapran side, or we have in this, at present, we have a complete subdivision, Madhava Vadhavan, that has no road connectivity.
So on roads and bridges, that's an important point. On roads and bridges, we see about 4,062 crore rupees
see what is the hike. It is mere 2.5%. As against this, we see 100% hike in allocation on information. Information, we get 100%. We have now 100 crore on information. Maybe because they want to just, put in newspaper every single, setup they take. Next day, they want to see it in shape of ads and all that. But we have in public works, we have just 2.5. And in tribal affairs, it was just 3%. When you see overall, we have around 8% average, more allocations than last year. As against 1,06,000 crore rupees, we have this year 1,18,500 crore rupees. So there is almost 8%. It doesn't get reflected in these areas.
Okay. Let me take those points to Mr. Raina and try to understand what the vision has been when the government has put forth this budget. Mr. Raina, on roads and bridges, on housing and urban development, we are seeing around 4,062 crore rupees allocation in roads and bridges, 2,928 crore rupees in housing and urban development. Also, rural gets about 4,169. Jal Shakti, as we spoke, is with the highest allocation, 7,161 crore rupees. So while these sectors gain, there are concerns related to social security. There are concerns related to education. So in terms of education, in terms of social security, and which impacts women directly, what are the initiatives that the budget talks about? If the allocation is less, are there other initiatives wherein we are trying to balance?
First of all, I would like to react to the passing of the budget in the parliament. It is not the responsibility of the government only. It was the responsibility of the opposition also to cooperate with the government and get a budget passed by a discussion. Last year, we had a good discussion. Masoodi Sahab also spoke there, and everyone was allowed to speak. This year, they could not discuss it, and it is not only because of govt. One. Second, when we talk about the areas, particularly like roads and bridges, Masoodi Sahab or National Conference talks about the areas yet to be covered. But what has been covered or what is being covered, the improvement that we have seen over the years is not appreciated appropriately. About education, I would like to say that the budget has allocated, say, for example, we have futuristic vision in this virtual reality labs in both Jammu and Kashmir. Then we have almost 40 robotics in every district. We have these libraries there. We have digital equities and the literacy and economic developmental program. We have almost 500 schools to be provided with ICT labs. There are so many things, 1,000 smart classrooms and things like that. So in fact, government has tried to focus on every area and on rural development also. But the point is, we have a problem with the capacity to spend. The capacity is being simultaneously enhanced. We are talking about the budget allocations in the previous budget, but what was revised estimates also, there is improvement almost in every sector where when it comes to the revised estimates. And also both government, union minister, home ministry, and also finance minister said whenever there is requirement of the more funds will never be a problem if they are spent and where they are required. But the infrastructure development, we see it has been decentralized. Those, say for example, Masoodi Saab was talking about Madhwan area. It was always difficult area. Now we have still improved the approach to those areas. We have recently seen that even just today, we saw that Honorable Home Minister opening Sharda Temple at Teetwall. The tourist inflow to that remote area has improved. Almost 5,000 people visiting last year only, this 2023 year. We have seen that the revenue collection of Gondola in Gulmarg improved almost 100 crores, more than 100 crores it has reached here. In this March itself, the tourist footfall in Kashmir has improved a lot. And as the year proceeds on, the funds cannot be a problem provided the state administration, the UT administration is able to spend what has been allocated. When we see to go to revised estimates, we see there has been certain areas where they could not spend all the money because of various factors, not just because they do not want, but right now it has been decentralized, and women empowerment, these handicrafts and all that, they have got a focused attention, and government is trying to reach to the people in every area and every region of that.
Okay. Ms. Aarti Tikku Singh, in addition to infrastructure growth, what's also important is industrial growth, and to realize and the entrepreneurial potential of the youngsters, particularly providing them job opportunities. The numbers say that in Jammu and Kashmir, about 500 startups came up in just the last 3 years. It has seen the highest ever investment also, 1,547 crore rupees in just the last 10 months. So there need to be more efforts to promote this kind of entrepreneurial spirit among the youth. So towards understanding the sentiments, the potential of the youth, do you see any announcements, any new initiatives in the budget this year?
Absolutely, Tina. As I was pointing out earlier, the youth in J&K since 2019, since August 5th, 2019 to be specific, and the nullification of Jammu and Kashmir and reorganization of the state into 2 union territories, I see a certain energy on the ground because I travel in J&K and different parts of both Kashmir Valley and Jammu region, and I can tell you for sure that youth are looking towards the kind of growth and development that the rest of the country has seen in the last 3 decades. Right. With the nullification and with the change in environment in the last 3 years, even though there was coronavirus pandemic, we also saw a certain lockdown in 2019, even before the pandemic lockdown. But I'm telling you that youth today are looking forward to greater, bigger private sector. And that's because the government is in no way has the capacity to generate as many jobs as people would have liked to. And this idea, this sentiment has gone down very well among the youth in the state. They understand that the government will not be able to provide all kinds of jobs. So they are looking at private sector. I have been to, in fact, one of the most fascinating institutes on artificial intelligence is actually in Kashmir today, and I saw young boys and girls learning the how and of the internet, and they are looking at artificial intelligence. They are looking for jobs in high-tech area, and we are also seeing private sector coming in. We saw in the budget itself, we note down that there is a massive investment coming in from foreign countries. We know from the Middle East countries, we are having a good amount of funding for development in J&K, and that will certainly flourish the private sector. It will create jobs of the future, because a lot of jobs, even though, Masoodi Saab and Mr. Rana mentioned that about roads and colleges and other things. But the fact is, the job scenario in the entire country and in fact the entire world is changing. Lots of jobs are going away. New jobs need to be created because technology has left lots of areas redundant. Coronavirus pandemic has changed the entire global world order. We are also seeing a shift in supply chains. We are also seeing new market being rebuilt and being created in India. That is also going to happen in J&K, as you rightly pointed out. New startups, 500 startups or more in just last 1 year. That goes to show that youth are today entrepreneurial. They want to experiment. They want to explore new areas. You cannot, continually do agriculture for generation after generation. Youth are moving away from that. People want other jobs. I am also noticing that, if you go to Kashmir today, lots of the remote areas which were uncovered through roads and bridges today are connected.
Right.
Jammu region still is backward in many ways compared to Kashmir Valley. It is still difficult to reach the upper reaches of Jammu region, and that is where I would like to see development. One point I want to make, Mr. Masoodi said there is a decline in the budget allocations in several sectors. Well, it is inevitable because, for example, the amount of funding that went into road and infrastructure in the last few years, they are now at a stage where they will not require as much funding, as much allocation as they needed just few years ago. You will need more allocation in areas, for example, information. Information area has rapidly changed after coronavirus pandemic. You do not now need newspapers. Newspapers are dead. You need now digital technology. You need, audio, visual, media, different kinds of mass media. So the government's allocation clearly is in sync with the need of the time, with the changing, scenario in all job sectors. So I would say that the allocation seems to be quite fair. What I really would like to see greater development in Jammu region, because that really has suffered in the last 7 decades or so because of the discrimination that it suffered, the region suffered because
That's right.
of the
And also in the manner in which it's implemented, because a lot of the times the allocated amount is not utilized optimally, and that's where the challenge is. So that is something that I'll come back to you in just a moment. But Mr. Masoodi, when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir, tourism is extremely important. So we've seen how the thrust is on building infrastructure, building roads and bridges to give that kind of fillip to tourism, which suffered a setback during the pandemic. But in terms of, putting in a lot of more effort in boosting tourism in the state, which also has a lot of potential, which also can generate a lot of jobs, which were hampered because of the COVID pandemic. Do you see that kind of focus on the tourism sector?
Tinaji, that is what I point out. See, first, we don't want to convert this debate into a political debate, but peace and progress go hand in hand. Unless you have peace, the progress cannot go with the same pace. Having said that, because you have to address the aspirations the way we did in Northeast. In any case, let us leave that aside. Now, see, that is my concern. Now, tourism gets, the capital expenditure on tourism sees an increase of only 3%, as against 100% in case of information. That is my concern, that we have a lot of tourists, but do we have been able to build infrastructure to have them to just make their city comfortable? It does generate an income for the individuals and for the institutions, but 3%, I don't think it is justice to tourism department having 3% increase in capital expenditure as against 131, though that is equally an important sector, that is public health engineering. I mean, Nal Se Jal. But again, you don't know, what crisis is there, manpower crisis in health department. If we have, this is the national statistics, we have buildings, we have machines, but there are not people to run those machines, to operate the medical equipment. We have medical equipment, but we don't have experts, radiologists, consultants. So we expected that there will be some kind of, it will be a thrust area, healthcare. Again, as I said, that in education, we have colleges and we have universities, but without the teaching staff, without the faculty, I will give, you can just quote my numbers. It is 16 faculty members in South Campus Antnag, with a population of more than 5 million people. It just, they bank on this. And we have only 6 subject areas, and that is about all other all the colleges. And we expect that there will be some kind of, it will be appreciated what are the requirements of this sector, and there will be more allocations. Now again, tribal affairs, we expected more because we are adding up other communities to that, to ST, but without affording them, without providing for them. Then again, one more area I would like to point out. See, center has been a little close-fisted this time. We have 5,000 crore less than the previous allocations. The money flow from the center to the state in shape of CSS, centrally sponsored schemes, or other areas, or other, whatever assistance would come from the center, as against 69,000 crore rupees last year, more than 69,000 crore rupees. We have only 64,000 crore rupees. There also we see, it has been downsized, the central assistance. So all I say is that when three areas are expected that there will be some kind of big announcements. One is our Jammu and Kashmir is competing with Haryana as regards unemployment figures. And those who are employed, most of them are underemployed. We have 100,000 daily wagers, casual workers, and other workers, health workers, who get less than 3,000 rupees per month. So that was, we expected a big kind of an announcement, big package to regularize and to at least ensure minimum wages.
That's something that across states we're reeling under, because our young population, our working population is increasing by the day.
Second is then in horticulture, because we contribute to whatever we earnings, our horticulture contributes to it. So our problem is that we have to carry all the fruit. It is 3 million tons that we produce, fresh fruit. To the fruit mandis, fruit markets of the country. At times there are disruptions in the traffic. I mean, we are not able to transport the fruit.
Okay.
So I requested for more than once. We requested for that commercial processing. There should be only 5% of the fruit is commercially processed. It should be ideally 25% of the fruit, so that we don't have to carry all the fruit to the fruit markets in the country. So this area also, we expected that there will be some kind of a big announcements or big schemes.
Okay. So, in case of the union budget, in cases of budgets for states and union territories, there are some hits, there are some misses, but what's important is that the budget is implemented effectively and it meets with the idea, the vision that it is, presented with. So let's hope that the development push that the budget provides for the union territory of Jammu and Kashmir is implemented effectively and meets reality. So with that having been said, I'll have to wind up the program. Time allows me to take up only that much on this edition of Perspective. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this show today, and to all my viewers as well for your time. I'll see you same time tomorrow now. Take good care of yourselves. Keep watching Sansad TV.